following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Valley, hooey Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic can be a panic with just a good-looking fan. And any barmaid can be a star maid if she dances with or without a plan. Hooray for Hollywood, where you're terrific if you're even good. Where anyone at all from Shirley Temple to Amy Semple is equally understood. Go out and try your luck. You make it Donald Duck. Hooray for Hollywood.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast. Damn you, Hollywood. And here's your host, Robert Winfree. Yay!
Yeah.
That was a pregnant pause if I've ever heard one.
Wish I had a better way to come out of it.
Yes, so does this movie. So does this trilogy. So does this series.
Oof. Yeah, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're discussing Halloween Ends. Which,
It certainly does, Ollie. Every year.
well, allegedly. Until, for another 2 years? What do you think? Give it a year, 18 months, and then the nostalgia tokens will be due again?
That's actually a really good question to start the podcast with. Why don't you introduce everybody and then let's actually ask that question.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I'm Robert. Mark introduced me per usual. We are joined this week by another horror aficionado, Ronnie Adams of Twitch.tv's Misfits and Miscreants, because unlike Mark, I pay attention to what people are doing and not rely on my first impression of them.
Nope. He'll always be Ronnie Adams of the Screaming Boy podcast from now until he dies, because that's how I knew him.
I'm pretty sure you're going to graffiti it onto his tombstone.
I'm gonna pay for the tombstone just so I can have it carved in there. Hey, Ronnie, how are you feeling after last night's discussion of Michael Myers trilogy and H2O?
Oh, pretty freaking good. I thought it was a good discussion. You didn't murder me too bad for my opinion on it. So,
I think I gave you a fair amount of room to talk. You know,
oh yeah.
No point did I say hold on and then not let you talk for an hour.
But no, you don't mean, because I didn't mind. I don't mind
aggressive. Oh, sorry.
I don't mind before.
So Robert, I thought, asked a interesting question, which bears at least a little bit of discussion. How long do you think before they go back to the well again? Because I think they did Halloween 6, then they did H2O, then they did Resurrection, and then Rob Zombie took a crack at this twice, and now we're here. And I don't have the stuff up in front of me, but it does bear. I mean, every couple of years ish, without besides the 20-year gap. What do you think, Ronnie?
I give it 5 years.
5 years plus or
I
minus?
legitimately give it 5 years because this left it open ended, so there's room to grow on it as far as where the mask appears next. So,
well, I mean, I think this iteration is
she's done.
If I was going to say, I think if they're going to do anything else with this, they're going to have to start all over again. No,
she's done. I don't know if it's going to be a reboot, a remake, or what. But I give it at least 5 years.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Robert?
I would be shocked if it takes more than 5.
Mm-hmm.
My cynical take tends to be a little bit lower than that. My hunch is somewhere between 2 and 3. But that's also because at the moment, nostalgia is the currency of the realm.
It certainly is, Ollie.
And
I'm telling you.
we're almost in a post-creativity world. Hey, let's make a sequel to Twister.
Wait,
You just
That's a
put
real
that in the
thing?
group chat.
I swear
Yeah,
the
That's not
thought
new,
process,
by the way. That's been that. Hang on,
Good.
that bit about them doing a sequel to Twister has been kicking around for a little while now.
Sure,
Oh, no.
but now we're about 30 years removed from the original.
Right.
So
Just
now,
I get what you're
But-
saying. I'm saying that even the announcement of it, that didn't just happen today. That's been kicking around for a couple of days now.
yeah, but today they've kind of confirmed that, like, yeah, we're actually moving forward with it, not it's something that's kicking around Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, it's been kicking around for a while, but
Right. So in this post-creativity world, yeah, this is something that Ronnie and I talked a little bit about this last night with Halloween, and I put out there that unless you make the kills more brutal and more brutal and more brutal, it's the same thing, rinse and repeat with this particular horror monster. At least, as big of a swing as it took, at least it took one. The Curse of Michael Myers. They tried something different because, as I posited to Ronnie, at some point you either got to do something different or you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And ultimately and you end up losing people. You want to lose people after trying, or do you want to lose people by just doing the same thing over and over, and just kind of giving up creatively. My question really is, and I'll put this to you, Robert, as we just go into Halloween Ends and discussing it, what more can you do with this franchise? Rob Zombie, his crack at this was to make Michael Myers a sympathetic character because that was all rage at one point. They did that with A Nightmare on Elm Street. They did that with the
no. They neither. That's a wild misread of both Rob Zombie's take on Michael Myers and certainly the rehash of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Hang on, before I answer your question, let me try starting this up, and when it kicks me out again, we're gonna have some fun. Nope. Worked okay. Hey. All right, we'll see how long that holds on. The issue at hand with those villains was not to make them sympathetic. It was more to explain them. I mean, Freddy was...
Either way. I mean,
well, there's a wild
definition of sympathy.
There's a wild difference between those 2 points, though.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an important one to understand because you're never meant to root for Michael Myers. You're never meant to root for Freddy Krueger.
Would humanize be a better way of putting it?
Sure. I mean, that Nightmare on Elm Street remake, well, don't get me going. We'll be here forever.
Well, let me throw this out there really quick. As you're making your point, I want to just chime in there with this. To humanize them as at least to take a crack at doing something different.
Yeah.
It goes against what I think the average horror fan wants. The horror fan wants a monster, almost an unexplainable, terrifying, evil is as evil does monster. And while one could sympathize with the idea of, well, no, why don't we try to explain this? Why don't we humanize these people? Why don't we make them something other than monsters? As a creative person and a thinker, I'm with it, but I can certainly hear the horror fans going, no, we just want evil monsters. Don't overcomplicate this. Which then goes back to, then what else is there? How else do you handle the Halloween franchise?
Well, I suppose maybe a better question at that point becomes, and I mean this purely as an artistic standard, why is it a franchise?
Yeah. Well, it's a franchise, as you said, because we are living in a post-creativity world. And anything that has any kind of familiarity in the cultural familiarity is going to be remade and sequeled and remade and rebooted to death.
Oh yeah, I understand that, but again, like if your question to me is, from a creative standpoint, why do you take a swing at it? My answer is, in a creative world, why is there a franchise at all?
Sure.
Why isn't Halloween just a standalone film?
So to go back to the original premise, if they're going to reboot this in 5 years and start all over again, I guess you got to go back to the beginning. You don't try this maneuver again, do you? Where it's a sequel to the 1978, what was it, the 1978 original?
I mean, you can't.
You just start all over again.
Yeah, you can't do. I don't think they'll try to do another sequel. This movie, it feels a little bit like the writing process behind this trilogy wanted to end at the point where you can't do anything else with it.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if they don't go totally crazy. And again, I'd have to look at what studio owns what. But hear me out here. What if there's collaboration? What if there's cooperation? And the next step is the Avengers. We get Michael Myers, and we get Freddy, and we get Leatherface, and we get
they tried that with the Batman versus Superman of Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, and it was awesome. That movie's amazing.
It's pretty good.
You, Mark.
It's not a horror movie, it's an action movie.
Michael Myers versus Jason. Let's see that.
Why? What's the intrigue there?
Intrigue. I'm just trying to figure out
what's the selling point. Like, hold on. Well, here's the selling point for Freddy versus Jason. You have two very different styles of movie monsters, and one of them that's brimming with personality.
Mm-hmm.
You stick silent Michael Myers in his mask, and you stick silent Jason Voorhees in his mask. One of them's got a machete, one of them's got a butcher knife, and nothing happens.
You put idiots in the middle that can't tell the difference between which one. They keep mixing it up. That's Michael Myers. No, that's Jason. Yeah. And then they run in and out of hallways.
You are not Mel Brooks.
No, that was definitely Scooby-Doo.
You're basically pitching like Scooby-Doo, right? Like Abbott and Costello meet the slashers.
Yes, I am absolutely pitching for the next Halloween movie. They make the Scooby-Doo structure. How about you, Ronnie? If you're walking into Blumhouse, they've got this IP. They got to do something with it.
I think this is it for them, for Blumhouse with this. I think they only had the 3 movies.
You're walking into whatever studio fucking owns this IP at this point. You're like, all right, here's your pitch. Here's your brand new pitch for a brand new Halloween movie. What are you pitching?
That's a good question. I think Halloween in space needs to be done.
Yes. Now with Jason, can we get Jason? And Jason's already in space from the last.
No. You're jumping the gun on this because you do the entire Halloween in space. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're pitching a remake of Alien.
I'm talking straight space station, kids trick or treating on the space station, everything, the whole night. So, okay. And then that's the night he came home because the Earth is destroyed. So Haddonfield is actually moved to the space station. It's called USS Haddonfield. Huh?
Well, can we keep this continuity where this is the future of the world that we're living in now with Halloween ends?
No, there's no other continuity.
Okay.
Because I mean, this is where it's going. This is where this is what we're talking about. This Halloween ends. So Haddonfield, the USS Haddonfield, he's cryogenically frozen because why not? Right. I mean, and then Dr. Loomis's great-great-grandson accidentally wakes him up and frees him on the USS Haddonfield. He's confused as all get out, so he goes on a murderous rampage, which they have to stop him. He's going around going, he's pure evil, and even with the space version of that sweet 1911 he had in Halloween 5. And then I love that gun. And then as it goes on, you do your whole thing. You pump him full of lasers or whatever, space lead or anything, and then you shoot him out of the lock, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And he's floating in space, and all of a sudden a hand stops him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turns and looks, and there's Jason X.
Oh, I love this idea.
And then they start floating towards the USS Haddonfield.
Can the premise be that when they needed to create a space marine force, they used Michael Myers as the cloning, as the being that was cloned?
Jason.
Oh,
they used Jason.
Okay. Okay. We're actively giving Robert an aneurysm. So, Robert,
I assume you can see, or at least hear, the hole that's being drilled out the back of my skull as my brain desperately tries to escape from this.
I'm a tumor. Yeah, I can see your tumor that I caused. You want to discuss the stupid plot synopsis, such as it is?
Not really. Like, I'm happy to let you guys. Look,
We
you
can
guys want
spend the
to.
next 45 minutes just pitching other Halloween movies.
You can fantasy book the slasher equivalent of the worst iteration of Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man all you want. I'm knock yourselves out.
Excuse me, I just pitched daggone the horror equivalent of Flair versus Steamboat. So I'll have you
You
give it the respect it deserves, sir.
you made a sequel to Jason X with Michael Myers in place of Jason, where they meet up at the end.
No, I made a wonderful fusion of two beloved characters in space.
Begging you to move this on.
Oh, now you're begging to move on, huh?
I'm tapping.
All right. So the plot of this particular movie, I'm gonna start with the. Hang on. Let me start with this before we get into this movie any further.
Yeah.
This has been a very divisive film that has evoked some pretty strong responses at both ends of the spectrum.
Has it?
There are people who very much enjoyed this.
Okay.
I know they're out there. It hasn't split evenly in the sense that we're not equal hate and equal love. There's no balance to be had here. But there are people who very much enjoyed this movie. And I just want to let all of you know, fair warning, none of those people are here. But
presumptuous of you, sir.
Yeah, but I feel safe in that.
Presumptuous. Go ahead.
So, but I wanted to acknowledge that those people exist, and if you did enjoy this, I'm happy for you. Like, very kind of meh happy for you, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Genuinely. So the plot of this thing, such as it exists, we open with arguably the best part of the movie, the year after the previous movie ends. So this is Halloween 2019, and one of our main characters, Corey something or other, is babysit. What?
Corey Graves? No.
Don't give me hope that I could watch him die.
Corey Cunningham.
Sure. So Corey is babysitting a somewhat pain in the butt child, as most children that age are. He gets suckered into being locked in the attic of their home, and as his parents are coming back, he has a mild panic attack, not sure if it's claustrophobia or if he's afraid of Michael Myers or if it's just plot contrivance. Any and all of the above are possible. He kicks open the door, which hits the kid in the face, and the kid falls over the barricade to the stairs, which is like there's no continuity for the height of said barricade. Like the banister is legitimately not the same height depending on which scene we're looking in.
By the way, this reminded me of Cruella, where so the dog pounces on whoever it was, and she goes off the cliff, ass over tea kettle. Kid, same thing. This banister is way high, but this door hits this kid, and he fucking takes a bump over, like a high jump bump over the banister, ass over tea kettle.
He is Shawn Michaels selling the Hulk Hogan punch.
He really is. It is the most ridiculous. Like, honestly, like he had to get up for it. There's no way that a door hits you and you're like, and unless you're like throwing your weight over, you're not falling off that banister. That was the most ridiculous. Like, it would have been more believable had he gone through it.
Yeah, 1,000,000% would I'd have no argument if they'd had that. But no, he falls over it.
Right.
He falls to his death. And our poor, Corey is arrested, and then we flash forward to 2022 because contemporary film, yay. And we pick up with Laurie Strode, who is writing a semi-autobiographical book, her memoirs, a novel. It's never actually quite clear, but she's writing something. She's moved into a house with Allyson, her granddaughter, in the wake of her daughter being violently murdered by Michael Myers at the end of Halloween Kills.
Rah, we're an angry mob. Rah, her name is Bob.
And
That joke never gets old, by the way.
it really does. And Allyson is now working as a nurse. She and Corey run into each other. Corey is something of a pariah because, well, he apparently didn't spend any time in jail for manslaughter.
No, he went to prison. He did a couple of years.
He just
Okay.
didn't. Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. I don't. Did they ever say that? I genuinely don't remember.
Keep going. I'll cut you off.
Okay. So we spend a good hour of this almost 2-hour film putzing around.
Hang on one second.
All
So
right.
this is 3. So Corey's accused of intentionally killing Jeremy, but is cleared of manslaughter. Oh, he never went to prison for this?
Oh, he
I'm under the impression
didn't?
He did.
That was my
No,
my
according to
assumption was
according
he
to this,
did
he is-
not go to jail.
Oh no, he was charged and then cleared of manslaughter. That is not the impression they give you in this film, by the way. That's really weird.
That's not the impression you give you in this film, and that's not really how the criminal justice system works or the specific charge of manslaughter works.
Right. So that is absolutely a conviction for manslaughter.
I mean, I'm not sure you could even argue criminally negligent homicide, though. Like, you could argue there's charges there that should have stuck.
Unless they just saw that it was that kid and said, we'll let this pass.
I mean,
Fuck 'em.
I would. Look, you killed this small child. That kid? Yeah, not guilty.
Yeah, the defense is essentially, but Your Honor, the child is a douchebag. And Your Honor's like, you're right, case dismissed.
Look, I would pull a new Jack. And I give a shout out to my boy Corey Cunningham. One less child out there making the world a difficult place. Go out there and get you another one. If you remember his call out of O.J. Simpson from that particular promo.
I remember.
So Corey and Allyson wind up running across each other's paths. And we spend, again, like 40 to 50 minutes on this stupid Bonnie and Clyde, Joker and Harley, will they, won't they, BS. Well, after being dumped off of a bridge by some teenage hoodlums, Corey is saved by being dragged into the sewers under Haddonfield by Michael Myers, who has been living in the sewer system for 4 years. And they lock eyes and have a deep, meaningful moment. After which...
Hungry Eyes plays. Hungry Eyes.
And Corey starts going a little bit crazy, and he goes a little bit dark, and then he goes a little bit darker, and some more stupid things happen. And eventually, he goes back into the sewers, and he gets into the world's worst wrestling match with Michael Myers, steals the mask, and begins his murderous rampage. He lures all of these teenage douchebags who had been abusing him into the junkyard where he works and proceeds to violently murder them. He kills a disc jockey who was rude to him once.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that famous that famous film critic you occasionally mention here who was rude to you when you called into his show once?
Oh, Michael Medved.
I imagine that was a little bit cathartic for you then. I
totally want to. We have a disclaimer now at the top of the show, so I can say this and just say this is all humor. This is said for humorous purposes. This is for the purposes of parody. Check our legal disclaimer at the top of the show. Yeah, I totally wanted to stab Michael Medved.
So he smashes this DJ's face in a little bit and then cuts his tongue off, which is a totally survivable thing. Then he winds up encountering Laurie, but Laurie tricks him into being stupid because he is stupid. He then commits suicide to try and drive a wedge further between Laurie and Allyson, and it kind of half works for a minute, but then the real Michael shows up, and he and Laurie have their showdown as Allyson tries to drive away, then tries to drive back. Eventually, this all culminates with Michael Myers doing the J.O.B. He gets his throat cut, he gets his arms broken, he gets his wrists opened up, and then he gets paraded through town on the back of a car to the junkyard where his corpse is fed into a metal recycling grinder.
And then they nuke the planet from orbit just to be sure.
Gotta be sure.
Gotta be sure.
Then we flash forward a little bit where Laurie is starting to strike up a December romance with Will Patton. He's got such kind eyes. Allyson leaves, does the smartest thing you could possibly do. Just leaves. And the poison of Michael Myers, the curse of Michael Myers, the evil that has corrupted and infected our town is now gone, don't you see? Because mob justice wins in the end. Don't you understand, Mark? What we needed to do the whole time was, in fact, violently murder this man and then dispose of his body. And then there will be no more angry teenagers harassing people. There will be no more people accosting each other in the street going, don't you understand, Michael Myers? He attacked my sister and it was your fault as you're coming out of the grocery store.
Don't you think the real goal was that there would be no more crazed madman stabbing people at night?
Don't you understand, though, Ronnie? He's just a symptom of the evil.
Don't you
The
understand,
evil.
Ronnie Adams? Evil has to die tonight.
Evil dies tonight. He
Evil
is
dies
evil.
tonight. Make America great again. Damn it. I did it again.
That evil dies tonight. Chant would have worked so much better in this movie because they actually did it.
Well, I mean, if the second one, as we discussed last year, was a fable about the evils of mob justice.
You'd like to think it was, but it really wasn't.
It was actively cheering it on.
It really was.
All right, Ronnie, go ahead. And no one's going to tell you to hold on, Ronnie. I want you to spread your wings.
Hold on, Mark.
Shut up, Robert. I want you to spread your wings. And your legs and your butt cheeks. And I want you to give it to us, Ronnie. Give us all you got. Every last bit of it. Just let it all out there. Unveil it for the world. Share your thoughts on Halloween Ends.
If you'd shut up, I would.
I want to hear in vascular detail. I was like, go ahead.
Oh, God. Okay, so I've been looking forward to this because I am a fan of the newer movies. And I've been looking forward to this since, they said it was coming out. And I'm not going to lie. I would be lying if I said I wasn't just a little bit disappointed. I kind of understand where they were going with this. I wanted to see more Michael and less Corey. I wanted to see unstable Laurie Strode in the end, and not cookie baking grandma Laurie. I wanted to see an actual knockdown, drag out end of Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And what I got was, hey, we've got a possible replacement. Oops, he's dead. Now here's the real thing.
Yeah.
Switch.
It was okay. I understand what they were trying to do with it. I mean, I had it been something that was, I don't know. I can't even place this in the middle of anything. But at least they gave me the showdown I was looking for in the very end. She was smart. You think I would actually kill myself, and then she pulls a gun and pops him, and then it turns out to not be Michael. But the fight between Laurie and Michael in the end, I thought was great. I thought it was just violent enough without going overboard.
That's part of the movie
here. I really wish that they had fought to the top of Mount Doom and both fallen into the lava together. After Laurie Strode kisses him and says, "I love you."
I half expected that, but it was just, I enjoyed it to a point, but like I said, I'd be lying if I wouldn't say I wasn't a little bit disappointed in where they went with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I was looking for. I was looking for the world on fire, struggling at the top of Mount Doom, mm-hmm. Lightning in the background, a wizard playing a guitar on the next mountain over,
right?
Something, I wanted pure 80s schlock slasher. Let's get this over with. Let's do this right. And I got
subdued. It's almost like subdued, a very subdued movie.
They're like, hey, let's go all out. Let's evil dies tonight, mob justice, blah, blah, blah. 4 years later, and she's pulling cookies out of the oven. You're like, what just happened? She looks like she's actually brushed her hair, which It's just it just kind of left me with a blah feeling in the end.
Mhm.
Other than the fact that she went ham on him with slightly opening the throat, opening the wrists, and breaking arms and everything else. I was like, good Lord, it's brutal. At least she went back to that spot. They took Laurie back to that frame of mind of this has to end now. And then I actually thought it was hokey, but it was a little bit poetic that they paraded him through town and then disposed of his body. They were like, hey, this is it. It's done. Haddonfield, you're free.
Right.
Let everybody look. And then they dumped him in and said, hey, you have nothing more to worry about.
I wish they had just completely stolen from that one fantasy scene from 9 to 5, whereas they're parading him through town, everyone's chains fall off, and there's sunlight and there's hummingbirds. the light returns to Haddonfield, the clouds part, sun rays, the whole thing. Thinking back, Haddonfield needed to be in perpetual Seattle-esque rain the entire time, but when evil dies, the sun came out tomorrow. That's your bottom dollar, Robert Winfree, that the sun in Haddonfield had come out tomorrow in my version of this story.
With that being said, I enjoyed this much more than I enjoyed Revenge and Curse.
Okay.
I'll still give Return its props in my book.
All right. So I love Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills is fucking hilarious.
Dude,
I love Halloween.
You like Halloween Kills because you view it as a parody.
I like Halloween Kills because it has a perspective. It has something to say. It says it stupidly. It says it like a moron.
The more I think back about that movie, does it really actually have anything to say? I don't think it takes a position.
Yes, it does. It says no to evil.
It says evil has to die tonight.
Evil dies tonight, man.
It was definitely commenting on our modern state of political discourse, on the natural antagonism among everyday people, the sort of descent into collective madness of our culture. It was talking about all those things, and it was trying to deal with Michael Myers and that, but it really just wanted to be like, gosh, we really hate that Trump got elected. That's Halloween Kills, and I kind of love it for that reason. I love it. I love that in that they was just like, we have such agita about Trump being elected president. Where do you think is the best way to deal with that editorially? How about a slasher film? Brilliant. Love it. I greenlight that movie.
I got nothing out of that.
Mark,
I got nothing from that.
You would work at Netflix and fit right in because you'd greenlight everything.
No, I wouldn't greenlight everything.
No. Here's why you would. And I guarantee you this is how this would go.
Mm-hmm.
The first 3 weeks of your tenure there, there would be some degree of quality control. And then all the people who had pitched you would get together in a room and go, okay, what do you select and how do we present it? And then they'd figure out how to present things to you no matter what reality is.
They figure out my algorithm.
Yeah, they crack the algorithm of Radulich, and then everything is greenlit.
Okay, how do we get him to greenlight our project? Present it as almost a parody. Make him laugh and give him at least a modicum of an editorial perspective. Say something. It doesn't matter what, he doesn't care. But say something.
And it doesn't matter if it actually makes it into the final product.
Right, but that's your pitch. Well, you have me figured out, buddy. So anyway, that's my problem with Halloween Ends. I don't feel like it. I mean, other than it kind of continuing on that same thread, but dealing with it more on collective town psychology, trauma. This town's been traumatized by the existence of Michael Myers and the murders he committed. That trauma has rippled. That trauma has evolved. That trauma has become so toxic it's infected the entire town. I like that idea. It's just kind of executed in a very clumsy way. You
could just say badly, Mark, because it's badly executed.
Clumsy, bad. I don't quite. I can sympathize with people who are just like, "Where's my Michael Myers? This is Halloween. This is supposed to be a Michael Myers movie." And instead, we get this dorky kid who looks like Hugh Dancy from fucking Hannibal with glasses. Yeah, I stole that from. I totally stole that from Critically Acclaimed.
Hey, at least
But-
look, man. At least Hugh Dancy can act.
Yes. I can sympathize with the idea of, this is why we started this podcast this way. There's nothing more we can do with this. What if we have a successor to Michael Myers and he does the killing for a while, but we can't just have him do it. We can't take Michael Myers out of it. People will fucking burn theaters down or their televisions because this is on Peacock. So we give him Michael Myers at the very end, but let him carry the ball. So it's kind of like, it's funny, you brought up like Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels. You know, it's kind of like Hulk Hogan tagging with Edge. We'll have Edge do most of the work, but then Hogan tags at the
He's
end.
about 70 now, so.
But then Edge, this is going back 20 years, but then Hogan tags in at the end, you know, big leg drop, boot, big leg drop, 1, 2, 3, Hulk rules. There we go. Right. Same thing here. Let's have Dime Store Hugh Dancy carry the load, tag in at the end. Michael Myers fights Laurie Strode. Boom, lobster, Bob's your uncle. I don't love it. I thought the movie was kind of meh. I think better actors and some slightly better writing with the same.
You need more than slightly better writing for this.
But with the same structure, I think this is dampened by performance and by a cast with no charisma or very little. Like the daughter is okay, but she doesn't exactly. This is the kind of thing where the material is slight, but can be elevated by performance. When the material is slight and the performers are kind of blah, then the whole thing just seems kind of like beige wallpaper. I didn't mind Laurie Strode trying to like get past things, and the idea that she's making up for the loss of her daughter by being overly invested in her granddaughter and saying, okay, I've ruined one kid, I'm going to try to do better with my granddaughter, I think is laudable. I didn't mind that. But to your point, Ronnie, it almost misses a step because it's weird because like Halloween 2018, she's been waiting for Michael Myers to escape from the psychiatric institution for like God knows how long, 40 years.
Yeah, 40 years.
Yeah, he does, and she's ready for him. But she's like a recluse, and she's a fucking wreck, and she set up like Saw-esque traps in her cabin in the woods for this very day. The very day.
It worked so well because she set up these traps and she had all this. She had an arsenal, but she had an arsenal that a woman of her means could have. She didn't have like ARs and and grenades and everything else.
Awesome if she did though. Like, just standing there like the middle of the street with a fucking rocket launcher.
That would have been pretty badass. Yeah, but
I mean, Hamilton's right next to her. Let's get this son of a bitch. Sigourney Weaver's in the. Never mind.
in the loader.
Every pitch I make is for the Avengers.
Lord have mercy. But she had the Winchester 30-30, the lever action. She had a shotgun. She had the 357. She had all these guns that you could possibly just collect over time that that won't raise. Derpy Gaming, thanks for putting yourselves on the line of duty so I don't have to. Nice.
Thank you, Derpy Gaming.
That's what we're here for. But she had all these guns that this weaponry and traps and everything that you could possibly do and collect, and it was like it was believable almost.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to this, and then I get her trying to get past stuff, but why is she getting past stuff when he's still out there?
So I didn't want this to be too much like H2O, but it would have been nice if she kind of started off like, I've gotten past all this. I went to therapy. I had, I lost my daughter. My daughter, having done so made me realize that I needed to go into therapy. And, and just when things are starting to get good and she's starting to reestablish that relationship with the daughter, that's when Michael shows up and, work towards her being a frazzled old lady mess with an AR-15. Not start there and work your way towards see Sally Homemaker. On the other hand, I like the fact that she's just kind of drawn a line in the sand. Like I've had enough of this. I spent 40 years waiting for this monster to show up, and I threw everything but the kitchen sink at him. Nothing worked. He came back and killed everyone in the town anyway. So fuck it. I'm just gonna live my life here and do the best job I can for my granddaughter. Okay, including cooking him up with the guy that got away with manslaughter. Bold choice, Cotton. Not entirely sure what the writers were thinking with this, other than we have to have all of our main characters in the same scenes. So sure, Grandma hooks up granddaughter with alleged killer.
Hey, Grandma, this is Corey. He killed a kid. Oh, hey, Corey. Would you like some cooking?
I'm instantly. Allow me to be instantly attracted to you and enthralled by you and try to drag you out of your shell. And he's only a little broken. I can totally fix him.
Look, that's tracks for women, okay? The man that's broken that needs a good fixing, totally.
You can file your complaints and share your comments.
Hang on.
We have a disclaimer.
The following may contain offensive. Anyway, yes, women like to fix broken men. Moving on. So that actually tracks for me. But it's a lot of this was really forced. I'm going to throw it over to you, Robert, because the only thing I have to say is this movie also. What did this clock in at? This
an hour and 50 minutes,
almost 2 hours,
and this feels every minute.
Every minute, this thing dragged like a child that doesn't want to leave Toys R Us that's currently in Sears because they don't stand alone anymore, right, Ronnie?
Yep.
Actually, I think Sears is gone too. But you know what I'm saying. Where did they shove the Toys R Us's? Was it J.C. Penney's? Which fucking mall is it in now? Which store?
Malls aren't a thing anymore, Mark.
Malls are a thing. I have a couple near me.
But anyway,
have you not seen the projection on this? We're going to be down to less than 100 malls in the entire United States in the next 5 years.
Yep, and 2 of them are going to be near me.
So anyway, in
I
conclusion,
don't even know what you're going to do with all that real estate.
I think like they had an interesting idea with Halloween, and if they had just left it alone, it would have been great. And they're like, no, this is a trilogy. And then the idea of like, well, he comes back to Haddonfield and everyone's angry about Trump and there's mob justice and we're screaming.
Oh my gosh, stop with that.
Nope, because that's the film, Ronnie. I'm just calling out the film.
It is not. I did not get any of that when I watched it.
The fact that you sat with your 10-gallon hat over your eyes and refused to see it isn't my problem. It was there.
First of all, I'm from West Virginia and I live in North Carolina. I ain't from Texas, son.
Okay. With your coal miner's hat on over your eyes.
And dang proud of it.
Okay, then. And you're right. I think that's the other thing is that this has Rise of the Skywalker vibes to it, to where it was like we really don't have an ending here, so we'll just kind of throw something together, and it's like it'll get by on the inertia of being the third one.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah, but it's just like, what else you got? So I'm going to go AFK for a second to get a drink. Robert, go ahead and give your craft review.
I don't have a whole lot to say here. This movie is slow. It's unbearably slow. It's unbearably dull. I don't mind slower starts as long as you're doing effective tension building and mood setting. And that's just not here. We're introduced to this town and we're kind of told via voiceover narration that it's been poisoned because there's no closure to what happened with Michael. Don't you understand? And then that only crops up at the most like narratively convenient moments. Like, hey, Laurie's feeling good. She flirted a little bit with Will Patton and she's feeling good coming out of a grocery store. Here's a random victim of Michael Myers to accost her about how dare you feel good or move on with your life when the end result of so much tragedy, and don't you know you're responsible because you're a white woman.
Well, I came back just at the right time.
And I'm or hey, maybe our poor downtrodden guy goes out and has fun at a party. Well, who better to be at this college Halloween party than a 40-year-old woman divorced from her husband after the death of her son to berate him about what he has done. It exists because of money.
Okay, again, rule. If you respond to the thing on screen, you must say thing on screen. This is still an audio format.
Derpy Gaming doesn't know why this new trilogy exists. It exists because some production company has the rights and has to do something with them.
Here's the reason why it exists. We're in the money. That's why.
Not wrong. So that's all very narratively convenient. There's no chemistry between Allyson and Corey. Just like none. We don't even get that many interesting kills. The body count here is, when I say it's very low, I don't just mean low in terms of numbers. I mean it's very low in terms of impact. Like, any of this gonna stick with you?
The kid.
So the beginning bit where the kid falls over the railing. Everything after that, not so much.
I'll tell you what, though, you make that any adult, it's not impactful at all. It's only impactful because it's a kid.
And frankly, movies should kill more children. I'm just gonna say it.
Hang on, wait a minute. The following may contain offensive language. I'm just gonna keep doing that.
Okay, again, movies, not people. Movies. If you want to raise narrative stakes, then you've got to actually put your characters in believable peril, which means either small stakes or the full belief that you, as the author, will kill anyone. So I think what annoys me the most is as I started this movie, I remembered the end of Halloween Kills, and our big thing at the end is Laurie Strode and the sheriff, Will Patton, sitting together going, "Now I know. I've had my epiphany. I know how to kill Michael Myers now." Apparently, it's wait 4 years and do nothing.
Yeah.
You want to end on that cliffhanger? Fine. I'm okay with that. You better connect those things narratively.
Well, it kind of has that Empire Strikes Back Return of the Jedi vibe to it, where you're under the impression that Lando's going to do some shit, and all you find out that he did was take some guard's uniform and chill out in Jabba's palace while waiting for Leia and Luke to do all the heavy lifting.
Let's not discuss the beginning of Return of the Jedi. It is still one of the most nonsensical things ever.
You mean the ECW opening tag team medley?
Yeah, that's really what that is. George Lucas, big fan of ECW.
He was like,
and almost as big a fan of incest as Vince McMahon.
Point taken on that one.
I think my favorite gag about that was someone asked Harrison Ford what Han Solo's favorite color was, and Harrison Ford responded, "I wish George Lucas would die."
And he's going to be Thunderbolt Ross now. I'm so excited.
Harrison Ford is?
Yeah.
That got announced this week too.
That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It'll work. I'm still pissed they didn't just hire Sam Elliott back, but Ford will be fine. The Thunderbolts movie, on the other hand, is going to be a train wreck.
Moving on.
Here's all these characters, none of whom any of you have ever seen.
Come on.
Yeah, I did like the final fight between Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. That worked. Best part of the movie. If it's not that, it's the opening bit where they set up a potential, creepy scenario and then have the kid die. I liked that setup. I thought it was working effectively. I don't even hate the kind of, pseudo misdirection with the kid just dying accidentally. I thought that worked.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing really going on with Corey. There's nothing going on with him and Allyson. There's no chemistry there. The whole will they, won't they with Allyson and Corey makes no sense. I get the loose idea about potentially passing on the shape and the power that it sort of represents if you buy into the mysticism angle. The problem with this entire trilogy is it's skirted around the supernatural elements to the point where you're not sure if they're real or not. And that's okay to a degree, but when you then try to hinge a pivotal plot point on it, you kind of need clarity. And leaving it up to that much ambiguity and audience interpretation is just going to lead to a frustrated or confused audience. Again, I was not overly impressed with any of the kills. Michael Myers, again, just does the job half the time. This really does feel like it was booked by this movie feels like it was booked / written by Vince, and then halfway through he gets ousted. Hey, we're gonna push Corey. Corey's the new guy. He's gonna go over the old guy. He's gonna get the kills. And then okay, Papa Vince, off to the retirement home with you. And then someone comes in. Well, we're here already. We can't stop. So he's gonna off himself and apologize while going back to his home planet and dying on the way there.
Hey,
and then the real Michael will show up.
Derpy Gaming just put a comment here. I'm gonna put it on screen because I want to see if Ronnie's head explodes into like pea soup.
Okay.
Hey, Ronnie, you know how you don't like politics in your comic books and your movies? Derpy Gaming says, when Halloween 2018 came out in theaters, me and my father were laughing nonstop out about how they killed all the white males, but all the females lived. Who knew these films were for? Who knew these new films were for? So yeah. Ronnie, are you going fetal? Are you rocking?
Yes. Mark, you and I reviewed Halloween 2018.
Yeah, we certainly did, Ollie.
And much like all of these movies, I think if you take every bit of all of this trilogy...
Derpy Gaming actively hurt Ronnie. Ronnie is like trying to keep his head from exploding.
I think if you take all three of this trilogy and you're able to parse out individual elements, you can get together one pretty good Halloween film.
Look, you don't even... Here's the thing. Halloween Kills, while it wildly amused me, doesn't need to exist. Halloween Ends definitely doesn't need to exist. But Halloween 2018 would have been fine by itself.
Yeah.
It was pretty... The thing about Halloween 2018 was how brutal it was. It was brutal. It was guttural. It was gritty. It was claustrophobic. It did all the things you would want to do with a Halloween movie. And then you just needed to leave it alone. Have him burn up in the house, and then we're done here. But because everything has to be done in threes, and oh, by the way, your last movie also has to be split in two. That's the other fucking trend. So that we get as much out of these as we can. Here's the thing. And we talked a little bit about this with She-Hulk, about how stuff is getting rushed into production. Principal photography and like pre-development and then principal photography are being rushed with a lot of projects because because everyone's stampeding to get their shit out either onto streaming services or otherwise. And stuff is getting produced without having a strong enough story. Because at this point, it's just about throwing shit to see what sticks. And boy, when we get to the money, when you think about just how not great this movie is and how rushed it feels, how not thought out this whole trilogy feels, and you see how much money this thing has made on no effort and being day and date on Peacock for 2 out of 3 of these, if you're a studio executive, you're convinced that quality doesn't matter. Convinced. I'm not a studio executive and I'm convinced quality doesn't matter.
Quality hasn't actually mattered in a real long time.
But it's only getting worse.
People are just starting to figure it out. And now I'm convinced there's just there's a bet. I'm convinced of this. One of the nefarious cabals that exists in the world between all the studio heads, they all got together and they said, hey, let's make a bet. Which of us is going to get called for putting out nothing but crap first? Which of us is going to feel the bite first? And they all went, okay, let's put out nothing but crap. And Disney is throwing out its MCU crap and its Mandalorian and its Book of Boba Fett and just, hey, let's see how far we can push this. And again, you've got NBC Universal. It's like, okay, here's umpteen small things that we're going to go day and date on, and it's all going to be crap. And Amazon's bought MGM, and Amazon's in on this discussion, throwing crap onto Amazon Prime. And we're just waiting. They're waiting to see which of them really suffers first, and this is a giant game of chicken, and somebody's going to win.
Derpy Gaming with a me, she, you.
No, the MCU.
MCU, right. MCU. Sorry. It's late. Oh, Derpy. We love you, Derpy. Anyway. Anything else, Robert, before we put this thing to bed?
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, Amazon, because they threw out like, hey, here's Wheel of Time, and it sucks, and here's Rings of Power, and that's a whole other discussion. Yeah, it's a race to the bottom at this point. I'm almost convinced of it.
Mm.
No.
Okay, Ronnie with the final word here. Go ahead, Ronnie. Why are me and Robert old curmudgeons standing on the lawn yelling at clouds. Go ahead. This is a sharing space, Ronnie. It's a safe space.
No, it's still scary. Yeah. Hear me out on this. It's not as bad as you think. You mentioned The Mandalorian. Now, the Book of Boba Fett, I can see. I'll give anybody that says they don't like that. I'll give it to you because it was not what I was expecting either. It was just Mando 2.0. Yeah. They should have focused more on Boba Fett than anything. But okay, Mandalorian I thought was great. It really opened up to the lore and it felt like Star Wars to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big Star Wars fan. I try not to be a toxic Star Wars fan because they're the worst fans in the world, and I'll stand by that. The MCU, I get where people are saying they're just pushing crap out. They're pushing crap out. They're not pushing crap out. Some of it's quality, some of it's okay, and some of it sucks. Just like I think Captain Marvel sucked.
Can I?
Okay.
No, hang on. No, the She-Hulk thing that just came up that I wanted to go back to because Andrew brought it up in the chat, and it goes directly to what Ronnie's saying. Because I mentioned this on the She-Hulk review, and it bears repeating. I don't think they're doing it on purpose. Nobody's going into their nobody's going into their job going, I don't care about any of this. I mean, some of them probably, but no one's going in to do a bad job. But Andrew pointed out, because this came up in an article that's out there somewhere, I don't remember exactly where he got it from, that a lot of writers are not getting the reps they need. They're not getting the experience they need to write quality television and movies. There used to be, if you're going back about 40 years now, like 70s and 80s, before you're on a television show as a main writer, before you're out there selling screenplays, you had years and years and years of working with other people, learning story structure, learning characterization. And if you think about one of Ronnie's favorite movies, Ghostbusters, go back and watch the documentary, The Movies That Made Us, that talks about the collaboration process between Ghostbusters. A lot of people worked on that movie, and it went through several different iterations before it made it to what it was on screen. And some of that was just due to budgetary reasons. We have this. They're like, that's great. That's going to cost $1 zillion to shoot. So make it smaller. And it became a quaint, efficient, wonderful classic that now everybody loves and obsesses over and creates fucking conventions for. And then cries when it's replaced by all women. But anyway.
Shut up.
What
McBride sucked. The movie sucked out loud, and it wasn't because of the women. It was just stupid, horribly written piece of crap. Done.
My point is that we are not only living in a post-creativity world, but we're also living in a world where the people in charge of creating the fictions don't have the experience enough to create the good fictions. They have just enough experience enough to write the right pronouns for their characters so that people on Twitter don't flip the fucking table over. They have just enough experience.
Even that at this point is just a random collection of letters with a slash in between them.
They have just enough experience to write fiction that will be passable enough for critics, and everyone can just kind of go home and watch their favorite movies from 40 years ago. We are not getting the people that wrote Cheers. They don't exist anymore because those people got the experience they needed at the time to get to the point where they're writing quality television.
They exist, but they're not given the chance. That's where I was going with this. There's studio reps out there that are not giving people the chance that they deserve to write better quality material for this. Now, if you ask me all this stuff that we're poo-pooing and we're saying is crap it could be amazing if they were allowed to be. Mm-hmm. But instead, you get the first Thor which I thought was great. Second Thor, which was good and everybody hates. Then you have Ragnarok, which people it's love or hate. It's mostly people loved it. I liked it. And then you got this piece of crap that came out because you let the wrong people have too much control, and then you let the smart people and the people who are actually fans and the people that actually give a crap about what they're writing. Instead of, like you said, what pronoun or whatever, you let them have the control instead of the people who actually give a crap about what comes out on the screen and what is represented through the characters and through the story. I dare say this happened with Halloween Ends. So We want to try something different. Well, how dare you try something different? We just want this. And I'm part of that crowd. I was like, no, don't give me that. Just give me crazy Laurie Strode carrying a 30-30 and shoving it in Michael's butt and pulling the trigger. I don't care at this point. It's it is what it is. They're just movies. They're meant to entertain. If you like them, like them. If you don't, you don't. It's not a big deal in the end. But it's not as bad as we think. It's not as terrible as we think. As everybody lets on.
Every time the three of us get together, we land in the same.
Hang on, I have a question for Ronnie before you get on to your next point about this. Just
Mhm.
very briefly. Okay.
I was trying to conclude actually, but go on.
Give me a second here. No judgment. Serious question for you, Ronnie.
Uh-huh.
Post Endgame, what is the MCU release that you thought was good?
Shang-Chi.
Okay.
I mean, he's not wrong. We were mostly favorable about that movie. We just thought the ending was over the top,
Really
Marvel
stupid.
schlock. Yeah,
Not a big fan of the ending, but overall, I really like Shang-Chi.
Okay.
I was gonna say go back and listen to our review. We were mostly favorable about it.
Yeah. Again, I had my issues with it, but you get mostly favorable, sure. Now, as a matter of just for the record, that's 1 out of the 8 things they have released since Endgame.
You only asked Ronnie though. You didn't ask me.
I'm not asking you because I know what your answer is.
Eternals.
I asked Ronnie because I didn't know. I genuinely had
fair.
no idea what his. Yours, I know. Like you're gonna
I
say
mean,
2
that's
things.
not the only one. I mean, you've got both Spider-Man movies. I love those. You've got. I mean, as far as the TV shows, I love Winter Soldier and Falcon and Winter Soldier. I thought Loki was good. Hawkeye was phenomenal. Hawkeye walked right off the Matt Fraction pages for me.
I listened to you people about Hawkeye, and I regretted every single one of you. My association with every single one of you.
It's a lovely review. We had a nice time.
I even like Multiverse of Madness. I thought it was good. I thought people expected too much of it. So yeah, I think they put out some good stuff since then. I think that they put out their fair share of like I did not like Eternals.
This is gonna sound like a knock. This is gonna sound like a knock against Ronnie, but every time you and we all get together and we have this discussion, we land in the same spot. And what I was trying to get to was, so Robert and I are hypercritical, but that's kind of the nature of this show. Is we really just scrutinize things, and what it sounds like a lot of complaining is really just us scrutinizing things. There's a difference between enjoying it and criticizing it. Criticism is its own thing. Sounds bad, but criticism is a valuable tool for learning about what makes a thing a thing. Here's the thing, though. Take a drink every time I say thing. Here's what you need to understand, and I have to kind of every once in a while make this point on this show. You watch the show to hear us criticize. You don't watch the show to hear us to sort of opine about a thing we like. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes I gush about the Batman and Robert fucks off and eats a sandwich. But for the most part,
I wish I had. I genuinely wish I had eaten a sandwich during that gimmick. I just went into my kitchen and did dishes.
The point is, the show is about criticism, but it's good to have people like Ronnie on who were just like, hey, I'm not really here to criticize or overthink about a lot of this. I'm here to be entertained. Did it rise to the level of being entertaining, or was it so bad that I wasn't entertained? I think is a valid way to look at something. It's just not what you and I typically do.
I can be very critical about things though.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the new Fantastic the Fantastic Four reboot or remake or whatever it was.
4-stick.
I absolutely despise that movie with the power of 1,000 suns. My hatred runs so high for that movie that I almost black out thinking about it. And then I hate that movie.
One of my absolute worst viewing experiences of all time was watching that movie.
It's awesome. Fan 4-stick is fantastic.
See, again, you see, this is why I don't ask Mark for his opinion on things, because here's the truth about asking Mark for his opinion. If I say, Mark, what is the MCU released since the end of Endgame or the close of Phase 4, so after Spider-Man, so let's say after Spider-Man,
Phase 3.
Yeah, the end of Phase 3. So not including No Way Home, but including like Spider-Man's European Vacation or whatever the hell it was.
Right.
He's gonna give me 2 answers that are sincere. He's going to give me 3 answers that are designed to annoy me, and he's going to ignore everything else. That's how this works.
And that
And
is
you get
why,
to try and figure out which 2 he's serious about.
and this is why Robert and Jesse are my true loves, because they get me the most. And with that, who wants to hear about the money?
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Sorry, Homer gets me every fucking time, man. All right.
And his poor accountant over there just going, "Sir, do you not understand how much trouble you're in?"
All right. So, Peacock. Halloween Ends, day and date on Peacock. First of all, had a budget of, on the high end, 30 million. It's made almost 60 million at the time of this recording, which is the Tuesday after it was released, which was on October 14th. So it's just about profitable, which means it'll
get there.
It'll be profitable. It'll be fine.
Hang on. Look, when we do this next week and we talk about Black Adam, I'm going to make a bold prediction about how much Halloween Ends is going to fall here.
60%, 70,
60. We're north of 50
for sure.
I would set the over under if I'm betting this. Your over under is 51% fall.
So Halloween Ends, despite being day and date on Peacock, was the #1 movie of the weekend, which we said it would be. We're starting to pull out of the September, August slump to where we're starting to see movies in theaters people would actually want to see.
And October's almost over.
In October, yeah. Well, we're getting into the real movie season. The second movie season, November, December. But so Halloween Ends was the #1 movie of the weekend. It knocked Smile out of the #1 spot, which was #1 for 2 weekends in a row.
Good for Smile.
Yeah, Smile was great. I saw it with my girlfriend at the time, and it was legitimately terrifying at times. Like it very much felt like a greatest hits of horror tropes, which is fine when they're effectively used. They're tropes for a reason. They work. And I me, Big Sissy Mary, I'm not a huge fan of horror.
We figured this out about you. You're not a fan of gore.
Yeah.
Like you got a weak stomach, but you've got a surprisingly resilient fortitude about you when it comes to stuff that is intellectually or emotionally scary.
Right. And I love the fact that it did. I love the fact that it took very familiar horror tropes, it kind of remixed them and used them effectively to tell you this tale about a woman's descent into madness. I thought it was great. Really quick, like 50 words or less, why did you hate Smile? Why is it that I'm like the Sissy Mary guy likes Smile and the horror guy hates fucking Smile? How'd this happen?
Okay, so it had its creepy moments. Like the actual, the smiling part was terrifying. Yeah, I get that, but it was very predictable for me, and it followed along suit of It Follows, and a few other movies where I was like, I'd just seen it before, and it didn't scare me. I was just like, oh, this is what's going to happen, and so it was very much in the vein of The Ring, It Follows, all that stuff. I mean, I'd seen it before, and I just I yawned.
Mm-hmm.
So I apologize.
I mean, well, I don't want to get into a side fucking review of Smile.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where it's just do we really need the boom mic, accentuating the sound of a can opening? Because, and then have that not pay off in any kind of way at all.
Right, yeah.
And have how many fucking jump scares in that movie? But I mean, again, a jump scare is a jump scare. You you jump and you're scared. It did its job.
I'm gonna imagine that Smile's the kind of horror movie that appeals mostly to people who aren't big fans of horror, who haven't spent a lot of time in the genre.
I mean,
yeah.
Here's the thing, though: mass appeal makes money. It made money.
Yeah. It did, and look, I'm not begrudging it its success. I don't have any. That's my observation about, because I've seen a lot of people who are more into horror come out of that being very nonplussed, and people more like you, Mark, come out of that going, yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was legitimately scary, good time, and so I'm just trying to understand the disconnect there, and I think that might be it.
Moving on. Lyle Crocodile.
Speaking of
which
moving on,
Lyle Crocodile. When we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, I was like, oh, that'll be the number one movie of the weekend. Nope. Debuted at number 2, fell to number 3.
to be fair, I think my line about that was if you can't unseat Smile in its second weekend, you have like that. You're bombing.
Failed. Yeah.
Ooh, can I make my joke?
Go ahead. Talk about The Woman King.
You mean the genre that's the film, Mark, that is single-handedly reviving the historical action movie? This bold film, Mark, about strong, independent black women subject to a king.
Who don't need no man. Strong, independent black busy businesswomen who don't need no man.
But all obey the king.
Wasn't it about like a specific I guess tribe or whatever of people that sold their own people into slavery too?
First of all, historically speaking, yes. Like this is what people misunderstand about the slave trade, because look, slavery like that is a moral atrocity. Be very clear about this. The notion that the slavers landed in Africa and then just wholesale like ran into the jungles or the savannah and were able to capture scores and scores of black people, knowing nothing about the terrain or whatnot, and just be very successful at this, numerically speaking, it's a load of crap. More often than not, they exploited tribal beefs, and people would sell each other to them. Like that's how that happened. And bear in mind, the vast majority of the slaves wound up in either Brazil or the Middle East. The United States got a shockingly low percentage of the overall number of slaves that were exported from that particular place. But
they were. It was very easy to convince.
No one's complaining to. No one's whining for reparations from Brazil.
Well, I was going to say it was also very easy to convince the crafters of the Constitution to end the importation of slavery when we had a very successful breeding of slavery system going. So it was like, yeah, sure, we don't need anyone brought over. We're good.
Fair.
So,
any other myths about slavery you want to perpetuate, Mark? Like Mandingo fights? Zero. Hey, for the record, zero evidence that was ever a thing. That's why I bring it up. Never happened.
Amsterdam fell from 3 to 5. It apparently sucks.
So, sorry, the purpose there of The Woman King is some like masturbatory think piece that was published.
Yeah, it wasn't The Economist, right?
Sure, about how The Woman King is reviving the historical action epic. Like, just piss off.
Can we just talk about how The Economist used to be like a dependable magazine? What the hell happened?
A lot of print media used to be dependable.
Fair. All right, so The Woman King maintained its spot at number 4. Who gives a shit? Amsterdam fell from 3 to 5. Don't Worry, Darling fell from 5 to 6. Barbarian maintained its place at number 7.
Good for it.
Terrifier jumped up. Looks like it opened up in more theaters. Went from 10 to 8. Bros, which is bombing hard, fell from 8 to 9 in its third week, it looks like.
Sure.
Top Gun Maverick, 9 to 10. And then debuts this week. Till at number 18, Decision to Leave, 23. Life in Life at 29. Cat Daddies at number 30. And a 5th anniversary of A Silent Voice at 47. Hey, I want to talk with you real quick, because occasionally we have breaks in the schedule. And I did this last year. Now, I've cut back considerably on podcasting, and I will continue to do so because I have to free up my time for a variety of other reasons. But last year, there was a lot of stuff that we just weren't able to see in the theaters, but we would do like triple features and stuff once they hit PVOD. The schedule is kind of set right now for January, but I'm almost willing to make some concessions and changes and maybe add something. Because if you and I don't talk about Triangle Sadness, I don't know what I'm going to do. Have you seen the fucking trailers for this thing yet?
Nope. Okay,
so Triangle of Sadness is about a luxury yacht that either sinks or whatever, or gets capsized, and so you have all of these white rich mock royal people having to deal with the ship going down, and it's a biting satire of rich life. It's getting rave reviews. It's put out by Neon. I really want to see it. I don't. Neon or A24, those are your choices. I really want to see it. I really want to talk about it. I don't think I'm going to be able to see it in theaters. I don't think I'm going to have the time. But when this goes PVOD, this may be something that we need to find a spot on the schedule for.
Are you sure you want me on that show?
Desperately.
All right, I can make you regret that decision.
Oh, I hope. Check out.
Okay, don't joke. Don't joke with me like that.
Go do me a favor before you make a decision one way or the other. Because if you say no, then I'll just deal with it and I'll just watch the movie of my own accord and have myself a time. But go watch the trailer when we're done here and then get back to me.
All right.
Triangle of Sadness. Anyway, which is currently it.
At the moment, that's just my head. It's a Triangle of Sadness.
Yeah, well, it was 21 last week. It opened up in a bunch more theaters. I guess it went to wide release finally, and is at number 14. All right, so here we are with the worldwide. Probably not a lot of movement here.
Probably not.
Here we go. Top Gun Maverick still number 1. Jurassic World Dominion still number 2 with over 1 billion. Doctor Strange, Minions, The Batman, Thor. So
you know what? It's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. I would have been so tickled if Minions beat Doctor Strange. Just personally. Would have just made me so happy.
This would be a great time to talk about Black Adam, which comes out this Friday.
You know what? I told you this before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried that thing's going to bomb.
I don't think it's going to bomb. Chris Bailey and I have a bet. He doesn't think it makes 700 million. I think it does. But my question to you is, does it beat Thor: Love and Thunder? Because I think that's going to be so the two things that we talked about in our chat earlier today was it hasn't been since Thor we've had a movie as big as Black Adam. I think people are hungry for it, and that's where the money's going to come from. People just aching to go see a big picture, and this is the first one since July 8th. Number 1, that by in and of itself makes it very competitive with Thor, even in terms of money. Does it beat 760 million? Does it even cross 700 million? That's the big question.
Is that what Thor got?
Yeah, Thor got 760, Batman got 770.
You know, given the tenor of the reviews I've seen thus far.
Yeah, 50% on Rotten Tomatoes so far.
Now, that's not the end of the world. Most critics suck. We've discussed this, and we'll discuss it again in a few minutes here. But I've not seen a lot of counter to that. So you can kind of get a feel for when critics are just off their ass.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that they're going to be wrong about this one.
No, I think Black Adam was a stupid idea to begin with as a movie, but that's
really is. That's the other thing that I've seen a lot of people mention. Why are we doing this? He should have just been the villain for Shazam 2, and we could just move on.
Or Superman. Either one would have worked.
Yeah, but Henry Cavill and Warner Brothers are in a bit of a tiff at the moment.
I think it just broke today that they're actually working on Man of Steel 2. But that story has now broke a dozen times over the past few years.
Yeah, they've been claiming that forever, and they are also actively blocking him from pursuing movie roles.
Anyway, moving on. Watergate Bridge at 626. Fantastic Beasts.
Okay, for the record, I hope Black Adam beats Thor: Love and Thunder because Thor: Love and Thunder sucked out loud.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I'm not sure it does. I'm genuinely not sure.
Sonic at number 9 and then Uncharted at 10. Elvis still making a little bit of money at 286. All right, here are the hang on, I forgot my line. Here are the movies currently doing better than Morbius. Elvis, The Bad Guys, Bullet Train, Lightyear, Too Cool to Kill, Nice View, DC League of Super Pets, The Lost City, and Nope. And these 10 movies, not as good as Morbius. The Black Phone, Scream, Smile, Death on the Nile, Where the Crawdads Sing, One Piece, The Roundup, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Triple R, and Downton Abbey, A New Era. As we just said, Black Adam comes out this week. It's about the only thing. So my kids actually asked me, they're like, are we going to go see Ticket to Paradise? And I'm like, no. Wait, why? Where did that come from?
You're losing your daughter already.
That was my son. My son was like, are we seeing Ticket to Paradise? I was like,
okay, Mark, I have some bad news about your son.
No shit. So I'm like, yeah, no, we're going to see Black Adam like a good boy. He's like, no, father, Ticket to Paradise, George Clooney. Don't you understand? I want to dance.
I want to dance and to get lost in George Clooney's dreamy eyes and oversized chin.
I'm gonna have a talk with my son. Anyway, the 28th.
You're about like a year and a half away from him going, but I'm your daughter.
Well, that would be fine.
Your soul just died a little bit when you said that, and I saw it.
You saw nothing. We are a progressive show. We are allies of the LGBTQI community. Do I have to put the disclaimer up again?
You can put the disclaimer up. In this case, it's about you.
You don't know what you're talking about. Tar, God damn it, will be in wide release on October 28th. And then the other one will be Pray for the Devil. That'll be what we're reviewing. And then we kick off November. We have Armageddon Time, which is a drama from Focus Feature, which is, I think, that's Universal. And that's about it there. And then the next big one is Black Panther. That's November 11th. November 18th.
Take your 3-hour runtime and just choke on it.
Then November 18th will be a three-way fight between She Said, The Menu, which we'll be reviewing, and not two-way fight. All right, and that's it for the month of November.
And for the record, that's a double fight for second place because Black Panther's repeating.
Oh, for sure. Kind of a weak November. Last year, what was it like? Ghostbusters. Strange World. That's also at the end of November. So
yeah, November's weak this year.
I was gonna say, like, what? Really, only 2 big movies in the month of November worth noting. I mean, we're doing The Menu because we decided we wanted to, but there was room for The Menu because there's nothing else. Like last year, I was like in a row. It was Ghostbusters. There was Encanto. There was quite a few, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Again, weak November this year. Don't know what else to say.
I'm curious about something. So November 2nd last year, we reviewed Paranormal Activity, which was day and date on Paramount. The following week was The Eternals. We skipped a week and did Lock and Key, then Ghostbusters, and then Resident Evil.
Oh, God. I'll take a slow November over that November. It was packed. It was full of crap.
Yeah, it was. All right. With that said, Ronnie, are you ready?
Can I tell you, Mark, just very briefly?
Yeah.
Every time I bring up Netflix and I see it's like trying to promote me watching season 3 of Lock and Key, I just point and laugh and keep scrolling.
You're meaning I'm just dying. But have I told you my son?
Your show sucks, and I don't have to watch it.
My son is a huge fan of Ralph Wiggum. On the way to the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That surprises me not at all.
On the way to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, we were sitting in like really heavy traffic because the fucking Camping World Stadium, which used to be the Orange Bowl, is like right in the middle of like downtown Orlando. It has got such parking problems. It's basically like a 1-lane road that leads into this giant football stadium. It's the worst. If you're trying to go to a concert there, either take an Uber, walk, or get there the day before. It is awful. I fucking hate Camping World Stadium. So in the 2 hours it was supposed to take me to get there with my kids to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers, it took like 4 hours. We were just sitting in traffic. And we were bored and going a little stir crazy. And the kids were like, please put on something entertaining. So we watched a Ralph Wiggum supercut. My son was dying laughing. And now he'll just like wander around the house or like come after me. If he's not yelling hour back at me or my wife, torturing her, he's going, my cat's breath smells like cat food, and just walks away. It's great. Bring your kids up on the classics, everybody.
And with that, Daddy, it's regular Daddy.
What's diorama? You want to throw in here, Ronnie, or are you good?
Yeah, I took the good ones.
Okay. He bit my Wookiee. And on that note,
the Wookiee.
And then the teacher and the principal were in the closet and they were kissing, and then there was a baby that came out, and then the baby was
All right, folks, here it is.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger.
Why do people run away from me as he wets himself?
My other one that always cracks me up, but it's not Ralph Wiggum. It often gets associated with him because it's the same voice. But Curly's son, I sleep in a drawer. I love that line. All right, and on that note,
are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God
God, please, no! 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 No!
Well, Universal and Blumhouse, impressively, you made nobody happy with this movie. Nobody, not at all. We have a 39% rotten score from the critics and a 57% audience score. Halloween ends, for now anyway, with a frequently befuddling installment that's stabbed, slashed, and beaten by a series of frustrating and missed opportunities. Actually, not that bad.
Inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just sad that I'm never going to get my Expendables version of Final Girls connecting. Because like
why is it when I make an Avengers joke, you roll your eyes and like do the tumor face, but you can keep doing that joke?
Well, I mean, look, we've obviously made the joke about the Expendables Girls Night Out, right? That was supposed to be a thing like Ladies Night.
Yep.
And then that fell apart for a variety of reasons. But I would love to see that. We've got like the 4 major ones that are all still alive. They're all still working, and you could do something with it. It's on my mind because Heather Langenkamp is in the Midnight Club, which I'm reviewing tomorrow. So it's just kind of on my mind lately, and it's sad because we're not going to get it, and no one could kind of put together the right kind of thing. I mean, there was a period of time when you had like, I think 6 of the actors who had played James Bond were all alive.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a real missed opportunity to do a big kind of spy team up of all of them.
Scott Mendelson at Forbes. Halloween Ends thrives as a grounded.
Shut up.
Halloween Ends thrives as a grounded slice of life character drama before eventually becoming a Michael Myers sequel.
If you want your go review a soap opera if you want your crappy grounded slice of life stuff.
Stephen Romay of the Australian top critic. This fast-paced, well-acted thriller.
Shut up!
This fast-paced, well-acted thriller, in the psychological and slasher sense, carries us to an answer that may or may not be definitive.
Okay, wow. 1, no, we're not carried to an answer. 2, this is the opposite of fast-paced. And how in the world could you call this well-acted?
Douglas Davidson.
This guy thinks he has a very good marriage and is about to realize how bad he is at judging acting.
Douglas Davidson of Elements of Madness. What started in 2018 is a means of exploring Laurie's specific grief wrapped in a slasher covering revealing itself, with the dermis layer removed, to be a powerful and profound tale of breaking the chains of one's trauma.
Oh, get bent. You are desperately looking for profundity where none exists, sir.
Jack Bottomley of Starburst. Great, flawed, polarizing, creative, and other words that end in periods. Unhinged, like that one. But there can be no doubt that Halloween Ends is the franchise's most fearless offering. No, that was Halloween Kills. It dares to be stupid. No, it dares to be different and truly succeeds.
You see, okay, now you're killing me because it's not actually different. This is not a person familiar with the franchise. If you came away from this going, boy, it sure is different.
James Berardinelli, Real Views top critic. It's not a bad way to go out. At least it has the virtue of trying something new.
That's kind of what you said, and I'm more inclined to agree with.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Doug Walker, you son of a bitch. Of Channel Awesome.
Mark just out there. I love it when Mark randomly finds someone who he decides to just throw that at.
Hey, you suck, Doug Walker of Channel Awesome. If Halloween Kills is a bridge film to this, then something got lost during construction. I don't wish death on people, mainly because I have to put up a disclaimer now when I do that. But Jesus Christ, Doug, could you be any more of an uncreative hack?
You are stretching that metaphor like the French stretch cheese.
The former future ex-Mrs. Winfree, Perry Nemiroff, of Perry Nemiroff YouTube, also the New York Times, but apparently that's not where they got this from.
So now you're adding a third.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Amy Nichols. Never mind.
Who would also be the third, so this would be a fourth.
Okay. One of Robert Winfree's future ex-wives, Perry Nemiroff, loaded with big swings and compelling ideas. They just don't belong on the path established in the 2018 film.
Not entirely wrong.
What did she say again?
She said, meow, 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 meow. She said, loaded with big swings and compelling ideas. They just don't belong on the path established in the 2018 film.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert. No. There he is.
Has Ronnie been here when you've done this before?
Hey, Kevin Carr, a fat guy at the movies. Where you going?
Well, why don't you come over here? We just want to talk to you. I want you to go buy beer. You could buy beer for us. You could be a cool new friend. We throw you off a bridge. That's the relation. That's the parasocial relationship Mark has with this guy. He likes to bully him.
Hey, Kevin Carr, fat guy at the movies. I like your coat.
And occasionally make it very weirdly sexual.
Every time,
Everything is weirdly sexual with Mark.
Hey, Kevin Carr, fat guy at the movies. I like your coat. Maybe you don't need that coat tonight. Such a nice night out. Kevin Carr.
Dirty quit.
Fat guy at the movies.
Hey, Mark.
Sir.
The next time you do this for Kevin Carr, I need you to have rewatched that episode of Too Old to Die Young.
Mm-hmm.
So you can repeat some of that film producer's spiel at the beginning. You remember.
Okay, everyone, rape him. Anyway, Kevin Carr, fat guy.
Let me see that smile one last time.
Oh, I'm totally doing that next time we do this. Word for fucking, like I did with The Wire, word for word, I'm repeating that line of dialogue. Okay, Kevin Carr, fat guy at the movies. This will be polarizing for fans, but there are some clever elements to David Gordon Green's final Halloween film.
There really aren't.
You have the depth of fucking sliced cheese, asshole. You really do.
Not the good kind of sliced cheese either.
No,
like
we're talking.
You're the kind that like is Kraft and you don't have the paper between it. It's just a block that is allegedly sliced, and you kind of have to peel awkwardly.
All right. Tom Jorgensen of IGN Movies. Halloween Ends concludes the Myers-Strode rematch trilogy with an ambitious, if somewhat confused, final chapter.
How is this? Serious question. How is this ambitious? What about this is ambitious to you? What about this is ambitious filmmaking? Or writing, or acting, or any of it?
Last one. Kevin A. Ranson of MovieCrypt.com. Not the mystical voodoo the last film suggested, but redefines the very nature of The Shape. Interesting as a standalone offering, won't be a popular choice for some franchise fans. That's true, actually.
The last bit of that is true, yes.
Where are the rest of your wives? Let's find another one of your wives before we go. Your future ex-wives.
See, you see what I put up with here, Ronnie. He's desperately trying to marry me off.
Just want you to be happy.
Really?
Everyone wants you to be happy.
Really, Mark? Is that the...
You could stand for a little shot of happiness every once in a while.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's not true. I'm looking at Mark going, Mark, how long have you and I done this? How many? And you are now claiming that you want me to be happy?
Let's see here. Oh, there's your dad. I don't like reading from him, though. All of Robert's family members are critics. All right.
What's that one douchebag that has his it's like Bob Jones at bobjones.com or whatever his name is?
There's several of those.
Yeah, there's quite a few. MyAssholeName.com.
Yeah.
People's with their names in it. All right.
FredMyers.com says, this movie is great. Well, I must believe him because he has his own website.
Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with putting your name in the title of what it is you're doing.
Look, anyone with their own website is a step up on us.
True. We have our website. We have w2mnet.com.
You glommed onto that. You didn't make it.
I entered into our content exchange. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I was bought up by a bigger multimedia conglomerate.
Put air quotes around bought. Put the quotes around bought out, and you know you have to.
I probably got Mark to admit he tried to do a hostile takeover of my podcast until I shut it down.
Yeah, we compared when Alexis tried it to the NWO Black and Silver. And she's now the Jeff Jarrett of podcast hosts. Don't piss her off.
Should get that harder.
I've been watching a lot of loosely related to Jeff Jarrett content,
Mm-hmm.
and my favorite one is a guy who just doesn't refer to him as Jeff Jarrett. He just calls him a wild slapnuts.
All right.
Like he's a Pokemon, because his 4 moves are a guitar shot, a ref bump, a low blow, and a stroke. It's all
Speaking
Jeff
of-
Jarrett does.
Speaking
Jeff
of
Jarrett
wild
match.
slapnuts, last night Ronnie Adams and I did a long road to ruin for the Michael Myers trilogy, the Return, the Revenge, and the Curse of Michael Myers, and H2O, just so we can get them all done. Tomorrow, myself and Alexis Hana will be doing season 2 at noon of Only Murders in the Building, which I'm enjoying this season. Then I'm going to see Guar with my buddies. Yeah,
Yay.
Guar, Crowbot, and Necrocomicon, which is going to be Necrogoblicon, rather. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But while I'm doing that, Robert and Alexis will be, and probably not Jason because he bugged out on tonight's show because he had no voice, will be reviewing Midnight Club.
That'll be a discussion.
Yes, sir. And then this weekend, we've got a bunch of old canned ham for you. First, 2-part Long Road to Ruin for the Hannibal Lecter movies.
We did those a year apart. That was fun.
Yeah. So it was like...
No, that wasn't. Was that a year apart?
Oh, I know. I thought those were fairly close together.
No, those were closer together. The Hannibal TV show we did year for each.
Yeah,
season
that was for 3 years we did that.
Yeah.
And then so then we got Hannibal Part 1 and Part 2 this Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday, the Everyone Loves the most successful Everyone Loves the Bad Guy you ever did.
I'm not sure about that anymore, but for a while it was.
You did a one-man show of just you talking about Hannibal Lecter, and it was very well received. One of your better shows.
No idea why.
Whenever it is I get home from the movies with my kids and my friends' kids, we will be reviewing Black Adam. Could be 10 o'clock, could be 11 o'clock. It'll be whenever I get to walk in the door and I set up the show. So, Robert, you're on standby all night. You ready?
That's how we're doing that, seriously?
I don't have any other time. So here's how my week goes next week. It's either we do it whenever I get home from the movies or we don't do it at all, because Tuesday night, I'm going to see Stevie Nicks. Wednesday night, I'm going out to do trivia. Thursday, I'm going to see midget wrestling. And then Friday, I'm going to Halloween Horror Nights. And by that point, the week is over. So, and I can't do it during the day, Wednesday and Thursday, because I'm working.
All right, whatever.
Sorry. It's either that or we don't do it. So, and I'm only going to be able to see Black Adam on Monday.
I'm very tempted to flip a coin about that.
No, we have to review Black Adam. It's the first movie since Thor, of its kind.
No one cares.
I care. I'll try to get home. I will try to get home as fast as possible. Anyway, that's what's going on in my social life. What's going on your channel over there, Ronnie Adams, in 50 words or less?
Stuff. No. Misfits and Miscreants at twitch.com/Misfits and Miscreants. Come over and watch us. We do a live play stream of Dungeons and Dragons. We're still on Rime of the Frost Maiden right now. We're going to start hitting you with some other content, some other tabletop RPGs soon, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to hit some Call of Cthulhu, some Kids on Bikes. We're going to hit some, a lot of other stuff. We got Alien RPG, which is my second favorite RPG right now. To be able to be a Space Marine or a Space Trucker and fight off Xenomorphs is really cool. Yeah, that's what we got going on. Tune in.
Well, it was an awkward time for us to lose Mark there for a second or two. All right, I'll do mine then. So I cover professional wrestling a few nights a week. AEW's Dark Elevation on Monday, MLW, assuming they start releasing stuff again like they could begin threatened to, on Thursdays, and WWE SmackDown on Fridays. So tune in for any and all of that. If you're interested in professional wrestling and my takes thereon, you can follow those at 411mania.com in the wrestling zone. I cover mixed martial arts. This last Saturday was UFC on ESPN Plus 70. It existed. Actually lost the 2 best fights on that card during the fight week, more or less, so that was fun. This week is UFC 280 starting at, oh, for God's sake, the prelims start at 8 a.m. my time, and I want to throw something. I hate that. But I will be covering UFC 280. It's a good card, though. Like, that's the best pay-per-view card UFC's put out maybe all year. Depending, again, there's a little bit pursuant to individual taste, but it's certainly up there. I'll cover that. And I host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast on Sunday evenings. That's when I record it. Last week was a preview of UFC 280. This coming week will be a review of UFC 280 and a preview of whatever UFC event is coming up after that. So if you want my thoughts on the wide, wacky, wonderful world of mixed martial arts, please check that out wherever you're listening to this, more or less. If you're listening to this on an audio platform, you can find the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast, and I can fill your drive time a little bit with my talk about mixed martial arts, if that's something you're interested in.
All right, folks. Next week, Black Adam, sometime on Monday night, whenever I get home. And
Wait, Monday night?
Yes.
All right.
Why? What do you got going on Monday? You got to cover Raw or something?
I don't know, but now I can't. And since that actually pays,
well, then I'll wait for you to be done with Raw.
Oh,
you have
sure
to. You have to communicate with me, Robert Winfree of the Screaming Boy podcast.
Listen, ruined my birthday.
You had ruined your birthday? Is that what you said?
I said, Mom, Dad, stop fighting. You're ruining my birthday.
Okay.
My birthday is later this week.
If you need to wait until 11 o'clock Monday night, we can do that so that you can finish with Raw.
My birthday's in May. I just want to shut
the trauma of this is just going to last until May.
Are you seriously covering Raw? Like, is that like
know.
a thing that might be happening?
I don't know. I never know. I get a message from one of the editors that says, "Hey, by the way," like most of the time it is sometimes it's sometimes there's, stuff happens. So there's enough time in advance for everyone to go, "Hey, by the way, these dates, someone has something, we need other people for whatever." I try to do that when I have something come up like, "Hey, X date won't be there. Find a replacement."
All right.
Sometimes it's the day before, like, "Hey, so and so had something come up."
I'm shooting for 10 o'clock Monday. If we need to wait till 11 to accommodate your paid job, we can do that. It's fine.
Okay.
All right. With that said, now that everyone got to hear a little bit of the schedule cast, as we like to do here on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network.
Every now and then.
For Ronnie Adams, the Dungeon Master, the Misfit and the Miscreant, the TikToker, the Flip-Flopper of the Screaming Boy podcast. For Robert Winfree.
Drop my Gatorade.
Who doesn't get paid for this? Be well. Me, I'm just a giant bag of dicks. Be well, be safe, and behave.